So let's start. Today our topic is DevOps tools for QA engineers. Some words about me and about this topic and why I choose it. First of all, I am lead DevOps engineer in fintech startup Intergyro, and my career started from deleting production environment. Raise your hands who deleted production or maybe just spoiled it. Nobody. No. Oh, great. You understand me. Okay, why is this topic? As a DevOps engineer, I work a lot with QA engineers, with developers. And my main idea is that when you try to create something new, something interesting, something creative, you should combine two areas, two branches of science or of a work area in one. That's why I decided that knowledge of DevOps tools are necessary right now for developers, but QA engineers need them too. As I said, the second reason is that I work a lot with QA engineers, and I know their pain, and they know my pain too. And when you're searching in the LinkedIn, you can see that a lot of vacancies, there are a lot of DevOps tools like Kubernetes, Docker, and this knowledge are necessary not only for developers and DevOps engineers right now, but even for QA engineers too. So I just want to suggest way how to study these tools, how to know them, and in general, how to study new tools. This is preview. We will check some topics. For example, relationship between DevOps engineers and QA engineers, why they work together, how many steps they doing together, why QA engineers need knowledge of DevOps tools. Maybe I just want to push my work to QA engineers and that's all. No. We will discuss most popular DevOps tools for QA engineers. In general, we'll discuss the most popular DevOps tools nowadays. Then we discuss QA engineers and other people who want to study DevOps tools. Do they need some basics, for example, some overview of architecture, or they just need some comments and that's all? And finally, I will show you an example of cheat sheet for QA engineers who wants to study DevOps tools from the beginning and for now knows nothing about it. Okay, relationship between DevOps and QA engineers. Where, how, and why? This is very standard life cycle picture, which we can see, and you see here test step. DevOps engineers usually are working on each step, but they working together with QA engineers on test step. And QA engineers integrate the test and development processes, and so DevOps engineers should support QA engineers, and QA engineers should help DevOps engineers to release, and sometimes with monitoring and other steps. Communication between developers, QA engineers, and DevOps engineers. As you can see, we communicate each with other a lot, and that's why DevOps engineers should know a little bit from development and QA, and QA engineers should know something about development and something about DevOps practices too, because we are working together, and if you know nothing about what your colleagues are doing, you won't create great product. Why QA engineers need knowledge of DevOps tools, and how deep this knowledge should be? Well, I again can say that I don't want to push to move my work to QA engineers, because in this case I won't have any work. But let's take a look at this picture. Here we see again usual picture of steps: plan, code, build, and test, release, and deploy. Continuous integration, continuous delivery. And as we can see, usually build is the responsibility of DevOps engineers, but without build, QA engineers cannot test properly. That's why QA engineers and DevOps engineers should work together close. And for example, if QA engineers understand that something is wrong with build, it can try to check to fix it properly or ask DevOps engineers to help with it. But in this case, QA engineers need to know something about build, just not to have it like a piece of code and doing something. In this case, for example, if QA engineer has problem with build, he or she will go to DevOps engineer, will say that something is wrong, I don't know how to do, what to do, please fix. In this case, continuous integration, continuous delivery will be affected because of no knowledge from the on-site of QA engineer. Again, monitoring for QA engineers. As you understand, testing and monitoring are very, very close. And for example, the QA engineer can test new build, but a QA engineer needs monitoring tools for it too. Because, for example, he can push the button and probably all is okay, but he or she should check logs too that, for example, this action was done properly, no problems with it, and so on. So monitoring tools can play in helping to track the impact. So QA engineers need to know monitoring tools too. And symptoms of bugs. Well, QA engineer can find a problem, can find a bug, and write in the task that I push the button and nothing happened, please fix. But with such description of bug, it will be difficult to fix this bug, to create great product, because developers and DevOps engineers will spend a lot of time to find, to reproduce. But if QA engineer can push the button, check that nothing happened, then, for example, go to Kubernetes, to the console, check Kubernetes pods and find that pod is unhealthy status, and write it in the task, in the bug for the developers. In this case, bugs will be fixed quickly, and it will be a big improvement. Okay, the most popular DevOps tools for QA engineers. A little bit about statistics. Of course, Docker. Who use Docker every day? Who use Docker for testing? Well, a lot of companies are doing it. So Docker containers help us to run some services locally, test them locally, and it's a big idea. It's a great improvement in DevOps life. And I definitely think that QA engineers need this knowledge. And for example, in my company, all QA engineers know how to run Docker containers, how to check, and how to work in general with this technology. Kubernetes. It's like a next step after the Docker. If we have Docker containers, we need to run it together, and we have Kubernetes for it. Kubernetes is like an orchestration tool for automatic deployment, scaling, checking services, and management. If Kubernetes is used in infrastructure, QA engineers in general need this knowledge too. Because, for example, they need to use sandbox environment, development environment, staging environment, and everywhere Kubernetes is used, and that's why they need some knowledge about it. For example, see logs, see status of pods, And cloud services. I think right now it's impossible to live without cloud services. When I say cloud services, as you can see, this term refers to the wide range of services from software subscription infrastructure, but I usually mean AWS, GCP, and Azure services. And these services are used in a lot of companies, and QA engineer need to know them a little bit because without this knowledge, they cannot test properly. For example, in our company, QA engineers use some logging service, monitoring service in GCP. A little bit statistics about how much companies use Docker. So when I checked it, it's not very fresh statistics until 2022 year, but number of companies is growing each year, and Docker is used in such big companies like Pinterest, Shopify, and I think in more popular companies. Oops, sorry. Yep, Kubernetes. Kubernetes is very popular tool too. If you see previous presentations, there were a lot of talks about Kubernetes. So Kubernetes is used in Google, Spotify, Capital One. It's managed services in GCP, AWS, and Azure, and a lot of companies use it. This statistics is from research of Red Hat. And cloud services. A lot of companies uses cloud services. Why? Because some companies are starting like a startup, and cloud companies like AWS suggest very good prices from the beginning, and after that, companies cannot move their infrastructure to another cloud services on bare metal. Just as it's popular strategy. So that's why number of companies who use cloud services will be growing and growing. Basics of DevOps tools. Are they important? Do we really need to study it with QA engineers, so we can just skip and go to the list of commands? Basic skills, it's like a transferable skills. Prepare individuals with the tools they need to proper in life. And in general, I suggest all people, not only QA engineers, but developers, DevOps engineers, to study overview, to study architecture of tools, because without this knowledge, you cannot say that you really know this tool. You cannot say that you know Kubernetes if you don't know what is a pod, service, or ingress, for example. If you know only commands, that's nothing. The reasons why I advise understanding high-level architecture of tools. Better utilization of tool. For example, some years ago, worked with a QA automation engineer, who didn't know properly Kubernetes, but he wanted to create automation tests with scaling and with scaling pods, with scaling services, and so on. And he asked me to help, and I asked him to check overview of Kubernetes, how it works. And after that, he checked it. He understood how it worked, and he didn't come back to me. He understood all things and wrote automation tests with scaling and all features which he wanted to implement, he implemented. Troubleshooting. It's about problems. For example, if you run Docker image, Docker container, or if you run service in Kubernetes and something doesn't work, if you don't know architecture overview of this tool, you always will ask somebody to help you. And it's not productive way. For example, I had some QA engineers who always asked me, I don't know, something happened and it doesn't work, please help me. But it's not productive way, I cannot help each time. And all people around me, all my colleagues understood it. And finally, I started to prepare some materials for my colleagues to study them, and in this case, it helped me to improve way of building, testing, and releasing. Integration with other tools. Again, it's more about my history with QA automation engineer and scaling Kubernetes pods. If you know which features this tool has, you can implement something new. You can improve process of testing, you can improve development, you can improve anything what you need. But you should know how it works. And finally, customization. About customization, it's not about these tools, but it's about Terraform. We have Terraform environments in my company where we can create just new environment using one button, using Terraform. And we also have special integration tests, and one QA automation engineer who knows well our infrastructure and knows well Terraform, he improved integration tests in such way that tests now need less time to pass to check the code. And he wouldn't do it if he didn't know Terraform at all. Which knowledge of DevOps tools QA engineers usually need, and how to create cheat sheet? Okay, now I will show some examples. They're not final examples. You can find in the internet much more examples and even better. But I want to explain how to create a cheat sheet for QA engineers or for other engineers who doesn't know anything about this tool. Your cheat sheet should be created in such a way that the most popular command which this engineer needs to use, they should be placed in this cheat sheet. For example, for QA engineers, I don't think that we need to place information about networking in Docker or something like that, because it's not their work. But from the beginning, they should know how to build image, how to run, how to check logs, processes, and other things, and just how to stop, how to start it. Also, QA engineer should know how to create new image, how to push, how to pull it, and in general, how to create kind of new build. Kubernetes cheat sheet. Almost the same commands here you can see, but you won't see here any comments how to create new deployment, how to set up deployment. It's not for QA engineers who just start work with Kubernetes. They need simple commands to use them right now. For example, how to check services, how to scale, how to restart, and how to go inside. How to run shell and check what is inside container if something doesn't work again. Also, this is example from cloud services, and this example for web UI for Logs Explorer. I know from my experience that a lot of QA engineers ask me to help them with some cloud services. It's easy to say, QA engineer, please just read the documentation of Google Cloud and that's all. But in this case, QA engineer or another engineers, it will be difficult for them. Study something new that is not unusual. From the beginning, all of them need just only some simple things just to test. And how you can see here, I've created just usual picture, how to write query, where to check logs, where to check where to set up timestamp, and that's all. If QA engineer if QA engineers ask me more, for example, I need to use this feature, please explain, I need this feature explain, I always add it to the documentation. You can download my simple cheat sheets, but I advise to download it from the internet and to check what QA engineers in your company really need and to improve them for your company. Conclusion, and learning is a hard way, and in general, human brain doesn't want to study something new, but our job in IT, we need to study everywhere, each time, each day, and if we stop, we fail. We won't create something new and something productive. That's why I suggest to all engineers, not only QA engineers or DevOps engineers or developers studying new. I suggest to all people working in IT to study something new, and DevOps skills can be the first something that they can study.